Hello people from YouTube, Zadarkus here back with another Bronze to Diamond episode. No matter how you spin it, there are three real aspects in League of Legends. The strategic aspect, the mechanical aspect and the psychological aspect. All three play an equal role in your success in any given matchup. But since the three aspects are really complex, I will divide them in three episodes, starting today with the psychological aspect. Now, the psychological aspect is by far the most covert and under the radar skill you can have, and for the vast majority of LoL players it is the most ignored. People place far too little emphasis on how the game is won psychologically. This lesson will not make this mistake. Now let's talk about the integration of the three skills. Although I separate them in three different episodes and will try to distinguish them, I do not intend to portray them as mutually exclusive. Oppositely, I want you to consider them like this. Being able to utilize the top and the most overt level strategy and decision making in League of Legends relies on being proficient in the second level, the mechanics. If your mechanics are not up to par, they will require a lot more concentration to make appropriate strategic decisions, such as Baron and Dragon timing, roaming and so on. Furthermore, being able to attain a high level of mechanical skills relies on having the correct psychological state. Without the capacity to control your emotional and mental state, your mechanical skills will never develop, or at the very best develop at a snail's pace. Anxiety, frustration and discontent all hinder the learning process tremendously. This, in effect, means that being capable of utilizing your knowledge of the strategic knowledge also relies on having the correct psychological state. This all may be complicated right now, but it will be elaborated later as we move on in the episodes. Here, I argue that most fundamental and crucial skills to have in the gaming is a control over your emotions and mental state. So many gamers are willing to spend hours and hours a day practicing their mechanical skills, but completely disregard the psychological aspect. Most gamers seem to be under the impression that they have already mastered it, and in reality, very few have. Now let's start talking about the psychological aspect. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need to give your opponent a high level of respect, start every game with a good luck, have fun, or always say GG, well played, whatever you win or lose. Having a good mentality in the game does not mean being polite or well-mannered, and people think that good manners are normally needed to win, and that is one of the most pervasive myths in competition today. If it were true, we wouldn't see so many bad-mannered professional athletes with a god complex. On the other hand, I don't recommend being arrogant or impolite to the enemy team, as this has an enormous potential to backfire. If you start every game with the get ready to get dunked and then you make an idiot out of yourself by failing in the lane, your confidence is going to take a blow as they laugh at you, and that's going to reduce further the performance of yourself and your teammates. When I refer to a good mentality, I mean that you are not nervous or concerned about the outcome of the game. You are not contemplating, plotting or overthinking. You are in the moment. Your body is in control and not your mind. When a minion gets low, you don't think that the minion is being attacked by many creeps, so you need to start to do the auto attack animation in advance or you'll miss the CS. You don't think that you missed the last 4 CS, so you cannot afford to miss this one too. You just start your auto attack animation with the proper timing because you've done it before and your body knows how to do it. You trust your body to do it right. In this state, frustration simply does not exist. If you miss a last hit or get harassed out of the lane, you recognize the situation for what it is and do not dwell on what you should have done better. You do not start up with self-judgment or team blaming. Acknowledge the situation and move on. Your mental state in a really bad and unwinnable lane, let's say a Udyr against a Teemo, where you are not able to last hit without taking 8 darts to the face, and a really easy lane like Lee Sin against a Talon for example, should not differ. Your approach to the game should change, but never your mental state. I'm going to say something that may sound counterintuitive, but bear with me for a second. In online gaming, thinking is your enemy. You do not want to be thinking, you want to be on autopilot for the entire game. Aim for a state where your inner voice, the voice telling you to last hit, harass, that you messed up, that you are absolutely destroying this guy, has been turned off. This is the best possible way to approach the game psychologically, and you will always play at your best if you can do it consistently. Players who ignore this advice will almost always over-contemplate every move. You can watch a highly anxious or easy frustrated player's face. Every time he goes in to last hit or harass, his expression will tighten up, his arms will tighten up, and he will be forcing his hand to obey his commands, or at least the commands he is thinking of. He would do much better by trying less and just doing it. Compare him to a professional athlete for the sake of the example. We'll say a football player passes the ball to his teammate. It's effortless. It almost looked like he doesn't care where the ball is going. And that's why the ball almost always goes there. He knows his body knows how to hit the ball, just as you should know that your body knows how to last hit the minion. Many people misunderstand the things that I just said by becoming a vegetable in the middle of the game. They mistakenly consider try hard as performing or not thinking as not concentrating. It's the opposite. Thinking, contemplating and judging hinders your ability to do whatever you already know how to do, and actually takes away from your capacity to concentrate on the here and now. It also leads to tunnel visioning of legendary levels, where you are so focused on mentally controlling everything your champion does in an attempt to play perfectly your lane that your opponent left 30 seconds ago and is already ganking another lane without you even noticing that they were gone. Now allow yourself to stop caring. Let your hand do the work for you. Turn off your inner voice. Focus on what is happening right now in the game. Listen to the game sounds, listen to the sounds of your mouse clicks, and watch the flow of the events in the map. This is the only way you will be able to use your intuition, which is the most powerful tool in your gaming arsenal. In this state, your concentration and awareness will improve dramatically, and thanks to that, you will be able to take full advantage of your mechanical skills. Sports psychologists have been pushing this method of approaching competition for years, and I want you to apply this to your gaming as well. But what about when you mess up? I need to mention quickly that when something goes wrong in the game, you need to focus on what you were doing at the time. Where were you? Were you in a good position or in a bad position? Did you take too much minion damage trying to score first blood on a guy who you felt should have been able to kill? Usually the answer is pretty obvious, and just being aware of it will improve your play. I encourage you to not feel discouraged or upset and not label what you did as a mistake or bad. Just know what it was that you did wrong. Labeling, judging and getting upset is pretty bad. Being aware, acknowledging and understanding is actually pretty good. So many people in League of Legends immediately blame their team or game imbalance when something goes wrong. If they get chain ganked by the enemy jungle, for instance, they start yelling at their own jungler for not coming more often. They handle their own incompetence by blaming somebody else, removing all the responsibility from themselves. It's pathetic when you think about it. A person who is too stupid to realize that pushing the lane endlessly will lead to being ganked endlessly, and the idiot being too proud to admit that they have room for improvement, preferring to just blame their own team or the nature of the lower helos, deserves to stay in the 800 helo bracket, and that's exactly what they will do because that's where they belong. Now, if you are here to get improvements, I would suspect that you are not one of these. And you know what? Sometimes it is your jungler's fault. Sometimes you're being pushed to the tower constantly and it is a horrendously unwinnable lane. And it's at the point where your opponent is diving you and diving you and diving you because he is so far ahead that he doesn't even have to worry about the tower damage, yet your jungler is still wandering around in his jungle not helping at all. Maybe your jungler is so obvious to your situation that he gets upset at you for feeding. Sometimes sometimes your bot lane will feed their IDC to the point where he can practically two-shot you despite the fact that you won your lane. Telling your teammates what they did wrong will do nothing for you whatsoever. Actually, explicitly stating your distaste for their play in the form of blaming, raging, or writing down something like "report this top" in an all shot will only create a more frustrating, more anxious environment, not only for that player but for you as well. If somebody on your team feeds endlessly, hell, laugh about it. Tell them, don't worry man, it happens to everyone sometimes. By taking some stress off the players that are doing wrong, you can potentially take the stress off yourself. There is only one person you will be playing every game with, and that person is you. Criticizing your team and flaming them does nothing for you. Actually, your frustration will carry over into the next game, and this is how the dreaded losing streak begins. Getting upset will not make you any better. If you have taken on the attitude that the game is unwinnable because of your horrible team, you've taken on a defeatist attitude no matter how true it may be. I know this is counterintuitive, but never acknowledge that your team made the game impossible to carry. Use a bad team performance as a chance to improve your own mechanics in a new situation instead of just doing stupid things until the 20-minute mark. Now this will do it for the psychological aspect of the game. I could be talking hours about this, but I just wanted to throw out the main aspects of it. In the next episode of Bronze to Diamond, I will discuss some practice exercises that can be used for players at a variety of levels. If you are at an extremely high level, you may find this to be a waste of time, but I think even very good players can benefit from following this progression. Now I hope you liked this episode of Bronze to Diamond and that I helped you out a lot. My name has been Zadarkus, as you already know it, and you will be seeing the link to subscribing to my channel if you want to subscribe for more awesome videos and coaching. You can watch all the other videos on my channel, give it a like if you liked it, and leave me a comment. I will always read them. You know that my name has been Zadarkus. As always, be awesome and stay awesome. I'll be seeing you in the next one.
Get ready!
Find your center. Extend your senses. Master yourself. Master the enemy. Act free of doubt. Strike firmly. Force is meaningless without skill. Without skill.
There is no kill.
Without skill.
Better stand still.
Without skill.
That blood will spill.
Without skill.
Your team gonna get hit.